Hey everybody, this is Grace. In this video, I'm going to talk about something I have thought about for many, many years, and I've seen it many times. Not just happening to me, but happening to others, or hearing stories, whatever. It's about when there's a lack of accountability, a lack of people taking responsibility for what they've done, ownership of it, just accepting that their behavior was inappropriate, anything along this line. Okay, and like I said, I've seen it and thought about it for many years, and it seems like it's worsening. Like there's no sense of accountability, and that might not be the right term for it even. But I did make a video yesterday, and it was just video to itself, but it's kind of short, so I'm going to add that one because it's a bit along the same line. I'm going to add it to this one, so you'll see it. It'll sound like another video starting. But it was something that had already happened, and I mentioned that in the video, that it's happened before and it happened again. But I've been thinking about this. I've also been, thinking about, like when somebody does something and their view on what they're doing is simply they're self-centered about it. It's what they want to do, and it involves other people, but they're only thinking about the outcome for them. Of course, they want it to be something good, but they're not taking in, consideration how that affects others, how it could or does. They just assume, maybe they assume that others will be okay with it, or they don't care if others are okay with it. These are the kinds of thoughts have been on my mind. Okay, now one way to think about it is, well, this has been on my mind. Like TV shows, and they put across some kind of message, and it becomes popular. So more and more, producer, whatever, they make these types of shows, TV shows, and they become more and more popular. But the outcome with them is negative, for most people, most of those who watch them. They cause some kind of like psychological distress, or they make people think in ways that aren't right. They're not correct. And that whole thing of illusory pattern perception. Or they think in terms of conspiracy theories. It pushes that kind of thought that so many things, every time you turn around, there's something that you can find that there's some kind of conspiracy behind it. That could be TV shows, just the shows themselves. The news maybe does this. Some news channel or some podcast or some videos or some blogs or whatever it is. They push a message to be that people are always conspiring to do something against other people, this side or that side, or these people, those people, this kind of thing, and they'll involve some kind of other kind of drama, or like somebody's going to get hurt, or somebody might be humiliated, mentally, physically hurt, however. Or it's going to be something added to it that's a bit taboo, whatever that is, wherever you live. And, sensationalize so much that, some people become glued to it, and they think that this is the correct way to think about life. This is how life really is, when it may have just been the way they're making money. You see? Like I was saying, where's their accountability? Do they feel any kind of responsibility? Accountability, any kind of, what if this does do something like that? Do they question it, or they say, well, that's their problem? Has there been research done on it? I mean, I know there's been research done on things like video games, but you gotta remember something. Really, I was I was in my teens, my late teens, teenager. I'm 57. So say 40 years ago was when some of these Nothing like it is today, but something like video games came out. And I do not remember way back then any of them being somebody beating somebody up or killing somebody, or, like the ways you can see now. Maybe some, but I mean, as time went by, but most of them were like little cartoon characters like Pac-Man and Dig Dug and, along this line that I saw. Other people may have seen something different. But, and I know people quoted it and said they have these research that says it doesn't affect the mind. Are you for real? The reason I say this is because it hasn't been long enough to know. I mean, it's like when people say, that dating, this is what the do's and don'ts to dating, and what is successful relationship, and they quote people that have gotten married, or they talk about people who have gotten married and how they're living happily. Well, you don't know that it's a successful relationship until they're dead. Okay? And then it's only if what they wanted the people to say. I mean, wanted people to hear. What they told people and what they wanted the people to hear. We all know what goes on behind closed doors. I mean, there's a variety of that, but you see what I'm saying. You don't really know. Covert narcissist. Think about that. Think about the men who, the communal ones, any of them, that look good in public yet behind the doors. They're verbally abusing. They're socioeconomically abusing them. They're whatever type of abusing, maybe physical. You don't know that. That might not be what one isn't allowed to say, and the other one doesn't want it to be known. You see? Anyway, what I'm talking about is in the long term. What happens if something is barely 40 years old, and that was kind of lame back 40 years ago, so say past 20 years, how do you know how that affected someone for their lifetime? Say they were 20 then, they're 40 now, that's still not their life, the average lifetime, that's half. Okay? So how are they going to know? I mean, what do they have it to compare to? Before? What people were like before? What children were like before? What people as they grew up before? That I think it would just be impossible to say. But, or watching violent TV shows, watching anything violent, or anything where somebody gets humiliated, like I said earlier, any of those things, how do you know? I think one of the things that I'm seeing so far too much these days, online, is the people who get a kick out of somebody being hurt, or somebody, like shows where they're humiliated or hurt or whatever, and they find them funny. They find it so entertaining, so fun to watch. And these reality TV, not all of them, reality TV shows. Or reality TV that people are like right now, me doing a video. If I were to talk more and say, oh, I'm going to get hurt this way. Today I stumbled in this. Some people, there are actual people out there who watch it because they want to get a thrill out of somebody getting hurt. That's how they get it. Okay? And how does that, being easy to find these things, so easily find these kinds of things, to where, and to have so many people joining along with it, and it becomes part of the culture that it's okay. My hands are expanding as I talk here. I'm doing it even though I'm not on camera. But you see, it starts off really tiny. I got my hands together, and then it expands. This kind of thing, to where it's part of a norm to watch these shows where people are hurt, humiliated, almost dead practically, whatever it is. Where there's all these people who are actually conspiring against one another, who are behind the scenes. They're having these little meetings and these little meetings. What really is that teaching people? And do the people who write these, who make these up, who whatever, produce them, do they feel any responsibility for what they might be doing to to the culture, to humanity? Do they feel any responsibility, any accountability for when people point it out, say that's not good? It's just not good to allow people to see that kind of thing constantly over and over and over again. And some people will just argue with you. We should be able to see what we want. Whatever. You know? And yeah, we can argue about that. Well, the intention wasn't to have people who are, say, sadistic or psychopaths, sociopaths, people who, whatever, just get a sick thrill out of it. Our intention isn't for those. Our intention is for these nice, gentle people. Why would nice, gentle people be watching that? Okay, we can go round and round with it seriously. And I know, it's not a perfect world and all that, but really, has it become a less gentle world? Hasn't it? Don't you feel? Do you feel it has become more, just so many people pile it all into narcissistic world? Narcissistic. So many people just thinking about themselves. So many people just, self-centered. And, people who can't think straight. They can't connect the dots right. And so many people who think in terms of everything is a conspiracy. Like I just said, all those things. And then some. Is it good? Should there be some accountability? But what kind? I mean, and some of us, like I said, I make videos. Do we know what that, what others are going to be watching for? And, like I said, our intention might not be that. But what about the people who make videos and their intention is that? They talk about or gossip about people, so the other people, about something bad happening to this one or that one or whatever, and they call them names, they verbally abuse other people, and their intention is to do that, is to cause all this kind of drama and use all these, not we all, but many of us probably cuss. You hear me every blue moon, but there is to use every foul word, letter word they can, even the C one, even the, you can practically go through the whole alphabet and find one for every letter. Yeah, but they do that on purpose, and you can I have heard some myself say this about well, it's their parent, the young kids hearing it. Well, it's their parents' fault, and that the parents let them watch that. They will not take any accountability. They will not take any blame for any of it. It's not their fault. Never their fault. No way in the world is it their fault. And like I said, some people, you make mistakes. Like if you're even in public and you stump your toe or something like that, and you say, oh shit, or something. Yeah, that's pretty, for some people it can happen. I remember my mother when I was young. My mother's been passed away for like almost 7 years, but when I was young, I was driving down the road with her. I was probably in my 20s, and a car cut me off. No, a car was going really, really slow next to me. My mother was a very, very nice woman, and she didn't cuss or anything like that, and I didn't either. I didn't. It's not my norm anyway, but not too much of my norm. But they were going real slow, and I needed to get over, and I'd try to pull up. Many of us have probably experienced this. You try to go a little faster so you can get over, or slow down so you can try to get over, and they won't do it. You have your blinker on, they'll speed up. When you speed up, you'll slow down. And you're like, oh my goodness. And I remember I looked over at that person and I said, how does it go? I said, shit or get off the pot. And I'm sure many people have heard that before. And my mother looked at me and she started cracking up laughing. She said, but really now? But you see, some things like that happen, but what I'm trying to say is these other people, it's their intention to always cuss or always use really foul mouth, really, and even describe things like out of anger, that you just don't describe that kind of crap. I mean, wouldn't even want to try to attempt to talk about what they do say. And then some of them feel like that they're adults, they can do and say what they want to, and they feel like, well, some of them even say, well, YouTube doesn't watch, or YouTube doesn't pay attention, or this, Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is doesn't pay enough attention. They'll say these things, and they feel absolutely no, there's no worry in them that their channel or their web page or whatever Twitter account might be, taken down, or whatever it is, for whatever kind it is. And that they don't feel like they have to even answer to them. That how dare they, tell them what they can say, or say or do. Well, that's going pretty bizarre, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, some people, they call it, they build their brand this way, which I really don't understand that much. I mean, I get it, but I don't think I would want my brand to be how often I cussed and how many cuss words I could come up with. That's just me. Or how many times I could call somebody this, that. I mean, as in using every letter word, have a long string of letter words to call them, and it's all false anyway, and it's all a game. I've been around on YouTube for 6 years making videos on my original channel. It was 6 years in August, and I have seen plenty of that. They just different communities or genres. They don't. It's just this is the way some of them build their channels. I've said that in I don't know how many videos in the past, but yeah. And I just don't see that would be. I mean, what kind of person does that, really? Wants to build their channel out of how low life, or low, just how low can you go with it? Really? Seriously? How? And I don't want to make a video about that too, about how sometimes you just sit there with your, kind of like a puppy dog going, huh? You see what I'm saying? On some things that you can see, and it's not just on YouTube. I've been on social media since whatever you could consider social media, all the way since back in 1990. So I've seen plenty, been through a lot, and but really, as I've said in other videos, as time went on, it got worse. And those of us who were there from the beginning, connecting our computers together via telecom or whatever, Procom. Boy, now I've forgotten the lingo, but I know it wasn't my intention. So for people to be like that, for it to develop, and for people who want to say some of the weirdest crap. And just for the record, y'all, all of you, if you've heard me, I'm independent. I'm not right. I'm not left. So I believe in freedom of speech. But I also know, it's not that I just believe, I know that there are limitations. Okay? There are. You can find limitations, actual limitations to that. And there's some people don't believe that. They just simply do not believe. And believing, when I taught college and university, I had students who would totally refuse to believe it. And they also wouldn't do their assignments as assigned. And they also failed that assignment. Okay? Because they refused to believe it. It's law, it's not me, I didn't do it. Okay, it wasn't me. But I do believe there should be limitations. It's called Some of it is, I don't believe a person should feel free and open to verbally abuse someone or put out misinformation, disinformation that could just period. I could just end that sentence right there. But I could add, especially when it could do harm to them and or others. So you get what I'm saying. But too much of it has become a way of, and I think the people who disagree with it need to, can you open your mouths every once in a while and speak? Yeah. Because there's just too many of the loudmouths out there that are saying, oh, you can say and do whatever you want to, you blink and blink and blink and blink. Seriously. Oh my goodness, attack anyone. They just verbally abuse anyone who comes into their lair, who dares to even get near it. So, I think I just got a headache. Did I say that word right? That's probably what gave me a headache. No, I am developing a headache. I've had too many headaches lately. It was called the elections, I think. It's due to. But today's, by the way, November 15th, 2020 at 1:27 p.m. in north central Texas. Beautiful day. Temperature is 71. Yesterday, earlier than this, an hour or about, it was 83, I think. Yeah, in the middle of November. So, anyway, as you can see, I'm wrapping this up. Well, I'm not. Like I said, I'm going to, right now, after I finish this sentence or so, you will see the video I made yesterday. So, hey everybody, sorry about that. This is Grace, and I just came outside, made a video for one of my channels, and then I thought about something I want to put on this channel. And it's something that happened yesterday. It was Friday the 13th, all days, and we were in the house. It was dark outside already, but it wasn't like late at night. But it was dark, Friday evening, and somebody knocked on the door. I had fallen asleep. I hadn't been sleeping right late. I haven't been sleeping right for months because of our dog with dementia. It could be more than a year now. I haven't gotten a good night's sleep. But I was taking a nap, and the door was right next to where I was taking it. The front door was right next to where I was taking a nap, and somebody knocked our doorbell isn't working, and we're not planning on fixing it. Yeah, we both have done electrical work. We don't plan on fixing it. And anyway, right next to it are some signs, and I'm looking right now and I don't see them, but yeah, there's signs up there that say no trespassing, beware of dogs. Believe me, beware of dogs in this neighborhood especially. Oh boy, everybody has indoor dogs to guard their houses. I think pretty much everybody. I don't know anybody who doesn't. Let me put it that way, in our neighborhood. And it says things like that. You're on video. Yeah, in this neighborhood, you're always on video. Really, even if you're not wanting to be. But you see, you get the gist, okay? And this has happened before. Right now, this pandemic's still going, and it's at what they're saying, the worst stage. And some guy, I don't know, we don't open the door to him, but came to the front door, and Adam does a lot by just not, autopilot. I said, don't open the door. I woke up because I heard it. I said, don't open the door. He goes, I know. And he's older than I, And can you imagine all these months of basically for the most part being at home and being good citizens and, not going and doing everything like before the pandemic, trying to stay home, stay safe, and keep other people safe too, But can you imagine that some idiot comes to the door just because, what are they wanting? What would you think they're wanting? He was telling, Adam says, I don't know, he was trying to sell something. But Adam didn't open the door. He just, yelled at it, said, What do you want? And the guy mumbled, or whatever. It's probably the same one that's done it twice before, at least once. And to me, somebody who's coming out here after dark on Friday, knocking on doors, trying to sell something. Yeah. Now, some people, and the one that I actually saw, his shirt, I didn't open the door, I saw it through the window. It had some logo on it, like it was from some business, and it's not one I've ever heard of, so ever. But, and then they use the same line, I'm in the neighborhood, and they usually say, well, your neighbor across the street said come over here, suggested we come talk to you, or I come talk to you. Well, we've heard the lines before, but now, when your property is marked, no trespassing, beware of dogs, and all that, would you go on to it? Would you continue? The signs are right there next to the doorbell. They had to see that. These people, when they do this. No, it's more important. You wouldn't believe what some of them have done over the years. And it also says no solicitation, and so on. You wouldn't believe some of the stuff they've said. And how angry some of them get because they're, you're telling them, go away. I'm calling the police, whatever you say. To them. It's all about them. Yeah, it's all about them. That kind of mentality. Okay, I'm not sure what that noise is. I'm hearing a lot of noise. But, now I think a lot of people, I gotta fix this again. I don't know why it's doing that, but a lot of people, I think not a lot, but maybe many people would, your mind is automatically going to go into survival mode. Okay, perhaps. And when somebody after dark knocks on the door, you're not expecting them, some stranger, and they're trying to sell you something. At first you don't know who they are. Survival mode might kick in, and then when they're persistent or they're trying to sell you something, you see, your mind's going to come up with some reason, what is going on, what's truly going on, or something like that. And maybe, if you've been burned before, you might be, more aware, or you've heard stories or whatever. Nobody's going to be the same. And maybe some people, they don't even want to even think about it. Now, if you come up in your mind saying something like, oh, it's Friday night, they're looking for an easy way to make some money for some drugs or alcohol. You see, I do know people will say that. And even so would I. That's not a conspiracy theory. Some people say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, that's being cautious. That's having heard it before. Brain connects the dots. Says, okay, all this stuff together. And I would not say that's a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theories to me are usually something much huger, on something much huge. Much huger. Huger? That just does not sound right. Much more huge, much bigger. But anyway, like they are thinking, the government's out to get them, or they're lying to us, and stuff like that. But some things happen, like there's things like people have said, I've heard a big chunk of my life that grocery stores set stuff up, on their shelves in a certain way at certain places. Like you might have one part of some meal you're going to cook and the other part way across the store, so you'll go through there and possibly impulse shop. How many of us have heard that? Many, many, many years. Do you call that conspiracy theory? I say no. I've actually heard from people who work there that they know that they do that. And that is what they're told to do. Okay, worked at stores and such. I've heard other people say the same thing, that they've heard from people who said that. So it's not really that much of a conspiracy theory when it really isn't. Because if you've heard somebody that does the job and they have said that, why would you think it's even conspiracy? Some kind of, I'm talking like conspiracy in a way that it's not even really truly possible. That's how I see conspiracy theories. Whenever it's not even really possible. Okay. Otherwise, it's more of suspicion or experience or, you see what I'm saying? Okay, I say all that, but there's also these days I think people, too many people just throw conspiracy theory on anything, and I could be included in that. But here it is, when you hear someone who seems quite paranoid. Okay, maybe I'm not going to diagnose anybody, and I'm not even sure which one it is, but let's just say paranoid, like a common usage of the word, not as a diagnose. And they're constantly, everything, and I'm saying everything. I don't believe in saying everything at all. I'm not a dichotomous thinker. It's not black or white, always or never. But when you hear them, say they're on video or something, and you hear them, or when in person, and you, before the coronavirus, you ran across them, you work with them, whatever, and they would so often say this, something that's like, oh, they're doing this, or oh, they always had some suspicion of bosses or the person working next to them or somebody on TV, just anything. They could find anything to say that there's some conspiracy behind it. Now, that does happen. Conspiracies do happen. People do have ulterior motives and stuff like that. Some do, some don't. Many don't, maybe. But with them, it's like, you can't see them unless they're going to say something that sounds like a conspiracy is going on. They're judging somebody in the conspiracy. Now that I worry about. I think too many have come this way that I have seen and heard. Like there's been a movement toward that's okay to think that way, to always be suspicious. And then they use those words, always, never. Like I just said, I'm not that type. But I've heard so many of my worry that I'm starting to become that way. It's like it's a common language, way people phrase things. And I grew up with people who did that. I was not one to do that. And it took, it was difficult then. It's still difficult now. It's easy to fall in the bad pattern for me. Maybe for many people. I mean, it's not easy, really, when you think about it, but hearing it repeatedly, as if that's a common way to speak, to think. There's a conspiracy behind it. I couldn't resist, sorry. And, I mean, some of these people, like right now, when I sit here, there's always, see what I'm saying? There's this baby, I've watched it grow, baby lizard. And it's still not a full lizard, but I guess, yeah. But it stays in this one area on the wall right next to the shrub. And, some of the people that the kind of person I'm talking about, they would find some conspiracy about that lizard. And what is it doing? Why is it doing that? And it's not really based on just kind of curiosity. It's on that their mind always often has this thought of somebody's out to get them. Now that's, quite paranoid. I don't know what the lizard just did. It's gone. But there's always, I cannot stop saying that. See what I'm saying? But there's often like they could come up with anything on anything. And it's like, how the world how does their mind think that even, sometimes it's things like, like they might say something like that lizard is possessed. I just now see the lizard again. Where did it go? And it came back. He's possessed. It's far too often this kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, anyway. Yeah, but I do want to, to talk to, well, I've mentioned this about wanting to talk more about people who just are pathological liars. And there's these, I've talked about these people who are, conspiracy theorists. My mom was a conspiracy theorist. People who, they're going to blame it on ghosts and whatever. But at the same time, I don't want to talk about it. At the same time, I wanted to kind of like move on. Because really, too much of that is just too much. Like, it wasn't, I just made it the definition. But anyway, too much of it is not a good thing, I don't think. I've been doing this for years, and at the same time, I know if I don't do them, I don't know if that's healthy. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to probably run out of room to even edit and upload them. I'll talk to you on another video.